Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Annie Mel. I am the host of this channel, Mel. It has been quite a long time. For those of you who are already my subscribers and have been following me for quite some time, I am back. I took a bit of a break to focus on some personal stuff, but here we are. And we're back during one of the greatest seasons of all. Season for apple picking, season for pumpkin spice lattes, and the, I guess you could say, most anticipated anime season of the year usually. Since the year is broken up by seasons, so is like the release of animes, and fall is one of the most action-packed. I don't know if it's more action-packed in winter, but I would categorize it as more action-packed in winter. Nonetheless, this is quite possibly the most action-packed fall anime release year since probably I was conceived. So we have a wealth of anime to go over today. A lot of returning animes, and for people who grew up on anime in the early 2000s like I did, I know that you're well anticipating a great comeback from Bleach, as well as some fantastic new animes that are breaking the manga scene, I guess you could say. So look forward to a lot on this list, and a lot for this year. So for those of you who are frequently watching anime, the fall season is actually already well underway. So some of these, they're already airing. You should go watch them as soon as you hear of them, if you aren't already. But I won't hold you back anymore. Let's get into it. Start this. As many of you may already know or may not know, we've got a wealth of anime returning this fall. Some are from earlier this year, like Spy Family. Spy Family is a favorite, I guess you could say, amongst frequent anime fans and non-anime fans alike. It is returning with an additional 12 episodes, and this is not season 2, so let me correct you there. This is actually part 2 of season 1. If you watch Spy Family all the way through, you will get a preview clip as to what is to come this half of the season. And this is something that's commonly done within the anime video scape, where studios will release a 2-core season. 2-core means that there are 2 seasons. And when I say seasons, this may get confusing. Stay with me here. It's, let's say, spring and then summer. Seasonal weather seasons is what I mean. So they've essentially taken Spy Family 2 cores, launched the first core in the spring, and said, hey, we're gonna split it up and launch the rest of it in the fall. Summer tends to be a quite lull season when it comes to anime due to people frolicking outside in the water and in the sand and whatnot. So being that it's a popular anime as it is, and they want to make sure that they get great viewership, here we are, second half of Spy Family this fall. And it looks like we're introducing some different dynamics, not different dynamics, but if you watch the first half of Spy Family, it was more about the family growing together and them getting to know each other. Now, in the second half of this season, we see there's an actual big mission at hand that the entire family is going to get involved, and it looks like there's going to be a new addition to the family. Really exciting. And as I mentioned in the intro, Bleach is back, and I won't go over what Bleach is. If you want to know about Bleach and Spy Family likewise, please watch some of my previous videos, notably Spring 2022 reviews, and a whole video that I did on Bleach, because Bleach is not how I got into anime, but how I fell in love with anime. A lot of you out there may have quite contrasting and opposing views. I have my reasons. Watch the video. But Bleach is coming back, and it's going to basically complete the manga. 1,000-Year Blood War is going to be hopefully totally uncensored, and just as a few days ago, they finally announced what platform it's going to be on, because there's been some controversies about it being on Disney Plus and just the complications with Disney Plus and the lag and the delay, yada yada yada. So it's actually going to be airing on Hulu. Hulu already has been well involved with anime for many years as I've known it, and they already have a nice library of anime. So knowing that Hulu will be handling Bleach gives me a lot of gives me confidence and reassurance. So make sure you check that out. It is going to be one of the most action-packed arcs since the Soul Society arc, if you know what I'm referring to. Mob Psycho 100 is another anime that's returning this year, and sadly, it will be its final season. This being its third season. If you haven't watched it yet, take some time to go watch it. They just launched the first episode for season 3, but it looks like this will be the last season of Mob Psycho 100. If you haven't seen Mob Psycho 100, it's a very interesting concept of a teenage boy, who's in high school, and basically he's had psychic abilities all his life, like really powerful psychic abilities, which has kind of made like life a little bit difficult for him. And when I say life difficult, it's hard for him to emote. Being that his psychic abilities are really strong to his emotions, he tends to be very monotonous. He doesn't tend to emote often, and he's quite misunderstood for that reason. I think, as we all know, we've been at a teenage phase in our lives, or are currently at a teenage phase in our life, or haven't gotten there yet. But when you're within this teenage phase of your life, you tend to have a lot of emotions that you need to express, being that you're going through puberty, all these hormones raging inside you. So our hero Mob, or Shigeo Kageyama, he is like trying to become more like a teenager instead of like this super powered teenager. He doesn't want to be seen just for his powers. He wants to be seen for his efforts and for his personality, and he just wants to be well liked as he is. So it's got that kind of like, you know, coming of age dynamic, but with like super dope animation with psychic battles. The list for return animes is extremely long. I won't get into all of them, but I do have a few more. To Your Eternity is returning at the end of October, near the end of October. And To Your Eternity, if you haven't watched my year-end review from last year, 2021, I cover To Your Eternity because it's just a very heartfelt, emotion-driven anime. While there is action, there's a lot of sadness to it, because the idea of To Your Eternity follows our main character around Fushi, and Fushi is almost the literal and metaphorical embodiment of lost, grieving, and remembering your loved ones as they pass on to a new life or a new plane, or however you like to think of death. So Fushi essentially embodies this, where when people kind of die, he takes on their form. It's kind of like a means of remembrance. And throughout the show, the idea of remembrance is symbolic for keeping the human race alive. But like I said, while it's very emotionally deep, there's a lot of action to it. And I don't know. I would say that it's very differently structured from other animes that I have seen. I think that's why I'm so drawn to it. And if you watch like at least 3 episodes, you'll thoroughly understand what I mean. My Hero Academia is also back with its 6th season now, and it looks like we're getting into like a really heated battle between heroes and villains here. The villains went through at the end of season 5 their own type of academy session in terms of them leveling up. So Deku and the gang, and even the adult heroes like Endeavor, have a lot going against them this coming season. I think this may be the most physically action-packed season, whereas a lot of other seasons with My Hero, there is a lot of plot to build up and character development that needs to happen for our main character Deku, because if you haven't seen My Hero, it's basically a world in which everyone has a quirk. A quirk is basically what they call super abilities, and Deku is essentially born without one. Due to some events that happen in his life, him meeting like his favorite hero ever, who is All Might, and just like some strange events, he is able to attain a quirk, a superhuman ability, and we follow his story around as he strives to become the #1 hero. But most of the time that we spent with him is been in his youth while he is at the academy, hence the name My Hero Academia. So now that I've got that covered, let's get back to it. Season 6 is basically gearing up for a pent-up potential war between villains and heroes. Heroes, going around constantly trying to take care of villains, make sure they're not menaces to society, has kind of reached this boiling point where villains feel like what's quantified as a villain or a hero is very abstract. What basically defines them is whether you have a hero license or not, and what type of activities you do in the community with your powers. Essentially, like, if you don't have a hero license, you're a villain, a vigilante, or a villain. And some villains feel, or so-called villains feel that this is unfair. Hence, I think that's what stemmed to where we are now in season 6. I don't know how many more seasons we potentially have to go, as I've heard that the manga is in its last arc. So potentially we could see another 3 or 4 more seasons. But I think that we're at a very pivotal climax point for the storyline overall. And to wrap up our returning animes overall, we've got a movie here. For all of my One Piece fans, One Piece Film Red is finally coming to American, US theaters and other international theaters if you live in other countries. But here in the US, the release date is November 4th. That's still classified as fall, even though we're still in October and we have a ways away. But if you are at New York City Comic-Con this weekend, they'll be promoting One Piece Red, and if you're in the city, New York City principally, they'll also be having tons of billboards and taking over Times Square and stuff like that. It's really cool. I'm really excited for it as a huge One Piece fan, and you should look forward to it too. Now for the meat and potatoes for some of this video. As most of you may be trying to tune in to understand what is actually new, we've finally gotten to that part. And here we go. So, first one on my list is Shinobi no Itoki. Don't know how I feel about it so far, being that it has no original sourcing, so it is a completely new anime. You can't find the manga, you can't find the video game, you can't find the light novel, it has none of that. It is a completely original story created by Studio, and it is about a young boy who recently discovers that he is the head of a shinobi clan. Nothing like Naruto shinobi, where like the jutsus are very crazy and wild, but it definitely has like this shinobi-esque element. I've seen one episode already. I still don't know how I feel about it. It's got really nice animation, and I like the character designs. It's very cool. So I'm waiting to see how this goes. But essentially, Shinobi no Itoki, Shinobi being like a ninja, and Itoki is actually the name of the main character. He discovers within the first episode that he is the future head of a big like shinobi slash ninja clan, and they are out, or rather another family, another ninja clan is out to like assassinate him and the members of his family. So they send him, I think, to ninja school at some point where he has to train and get his abilities like up to par so that he can like fight these other clans. I don't know how long this will last, since this seems like this is an original, so perhaps this is just a one story type of season, but I'm kind of interested because the only type of like shinobi show that I've ever really seen is Naruto, and I'd like to see it in a different capacity. For my sports fans out there, especially my soccer slash football fans, not American football like they say in Europe and every other country of the world, Blue Lock is coming out this fall as well. Blue Lock essentially is not your normal anime show where it's all about teamwork and camaraderie and like building friendships and bonds. No, it's none of that. So the concept of Blue Lock is that Japan, it's a World Cup year, and interestingly so, or coincidentally so, not coincidentally, they probably did it on purpose, this is a World Cup year. 2022 is a World Cup year, there's going to be a World Cup in Qatar, yada yada yada. So they aired it at this time on purpose, as they talk about how Japan has never really gone far in a World Cup and they haven't won a World Cup before due to the fact that they don't have like a world-class striker. Striker being a forward, the principal forward that scores goals if you haven't watched soccer before. So Blue Lock essentially is this prison type academy where they lock down all these players in a like survival of the fittest sort of situation where they have to battle it out and find the most like egocentric, self-centered striker there is to ensure that they have someone of like great prominence and great influence to bring the team far in the World Cup and essentially win it. That's the whole idea of it. So we've got a collection of characters who are all probably egotistical, like soccer players who are vying for a position on the Japanese national soccer team. There's only one spot, so I don't really know how many people are competing, but it looks like we have a large wealth of characters, maybe like 6 to 10 different characters that will be kind of centralized in this anime from what I've seen in the previews, and they will all be vying for the number one spot to be striker on the Japanese national team. Most of all, it looks very powerful and dynamic. The animation looks very strong. I don't know if strong is the right word. It just looks super like bam and poof and just like, you know what I mean? Like just like that type of sensation. So I'm excited for that, and the powerful like drawn blues and the powerfully drawn lines is what makes me feel like this is probably going to be the most like differently warped sports anime that I will see in like my current time. A few more anime that are coming out, some notably on Netflix. Romantic Killer. Romantic Killer, it looks like a funny comedy, it's like a romance comedy type of anime where our main character, don't know what her name is like a huge gamer. She like loves to eat chocolate and indulge herself. Like she just likes to enjoy her life, you know what I mean? She's like a high schooler. And she meets this character when she plays this game that like pops out of the screen, and it's like, congratulations, you've won an experience or like a project, I don't really know, like an experience where you will meet like someone like handsome and fall in love and blah blah blah, right? Basically meet the guy of your dreams sort of situation. And the cost of that is that she has to give up chocolate, video games, and I can't remember what the other one is. But she has to give up basically the things that she loves most in the world. And when I first heard that or read the subtitles to that, I was like, no.
Nope.
No amount of love is worth giving up the things that you love and that make you who you are. And that I will say, as a person who loves 2D characters, who loves playing video games, and who just likes to be my most childish self. No one's taking that away from me. So our main character is basically trouncing through life, trying to avoid all these men that's being thrown at her way, trying to make her fall in love with them. So it is like her number one priority to shut all of them down. No matter how mushy, no matter how endearing, no matter how romantic the situation is, no matter how good looking the guy is, she has to find ways to sway herself back on track so that she can enjoy the things that she loves. And I enjoy that, quite notably so, because I feel like that's me. Quite unique from the rest of the shows that I've mentioned so far, this anime is releasing on Netflix, but its original sourcing is not a manga from Japan, or a video game from Japan, or a light novel from Japan. It's actually a manhwa from Korea. Manhwa is essentially the equivalent of manga in Japan, but the artists and the artwork in the comics are Korean bred? No. Well, they were created by people in Korea. Let's just say that. So this anime is called Lookism. I don't know quite much about it. I've never read about it before. I don't follow the manhwa scene a lot. There are other notable great animations created from manhwa, like Tower of God or what is it, The God of High School. That one, maybe not as much so, but Tower of God is great. Lookism is about a young man who's in high school that tends to be he's a little bit more plus size, and he is constantly mocked and bullied for his image. One night he goes to sleep and he wakes up and he's like what you would quantify as the ideal image or the ideal beauty standard in this world, where you're tall, you're on the slimmer side, you're built, you have muscles, good looks, whatever the case may be. And by day, he is this like more beautified person of himself according to society. And then at night, he is his original self, the self that he's more used to being over the course of his life. I don't really know like the storyline for this show, but the whole idea and theme of it is just how people are treated differently just based on their looks, and how society basically categorizes people by their looks and what kind of opportunities they get based on your looks. So there's kind of like this thematic imagery of how society treats people based on your figure, based on your features. Alright then, we're coming to the end of this video, but we cannot end it until we talk about Chainsaw Man. Now, for most of you who have not read the manga and has seen the trailer, you all are probably thinking, what the is Chainsaw Man? And why the fuck would I watch an anime about a man who's a chainsaw? Or who has chainsaws coming out of his body? If you've seen the trailer, he's basically got chainsaws coming out of his head, coming out of his arms. It's like ludicrous, essentially. But if I may say, someone who has read the manga, I understand where the appeal is. While I do get that the concept of the story is like super duper outrageous, and may not attract a lot of people right away, the pacing is out of this world. The gore, I would say, surpasses Attack on Titan and Tokyo Ghoul. If you've seen those, like the level of gore is just straight nasty, like gross to the max. Do not plan on eating anything while you're watching Chainsaw Man. If you intend to, this is your warning. Please don't do it. But Chainsaw Man not only does it have insane pacing, insane amount of gore if you're into that, perfect for the fall, right? It's also got like a hero who is not regularly seen in other anime. Usually we have a hero who has like very lofty goals, who has something that they want to reach for, and this hero is kind of just like, you kind of get taken aback, surprised, but then almost like, I can relate to this type of goals or aspirations. Some of his aspirations are so bare bones simple that it's like, you know, sometimes life really is that simple and basic. So for the most part, I think a lot of these elements make Chainsaw Man really exciting for people who have read it. But for people who have not read it and who are going to watch it, these may be some reasons as to why you watch it. There's also some really cool characters overall. I would say that the show really spares no mercy whatsoever on any of the characters that you see, so I'm giving you a forewarning. If you enjoy shows or in general that has a very minimal plot armor, this is for you. Congratulations, you found an anime that isn't like super duper plot armored, and for those reasons you may enjoy it a lot. So that is coming out soon if it hasn't come out already, and I feel like that's probably most of the things on this that's coming out this fall. Alright, that's gonna do it for me. I may not have mentioned every single anime that's coming out this fall, but if you do find something that I did not mention on this list, please let me know in the comments or let me know through my TikTok. However, that's gonna do it for me today. Thank you so much for watching my video or for returning after all this time. I took a long break. I basically took the whole summer off. Yeah, I took the whole summer off. But I hope to come back with some new fresh content or some new videos. Please let me know if you have any topics or ideas that you'd like me to review or go over, some theories, whatever. And you know, I'll be back with more content. But I appreciate you all so much. I appreciate your engagement and I appreciate your support. I will catch you guys next time. Bye.